Hello everyone and welcome to the County Buzz. I'm Dick Wolff, your host here today. We're going to be visiting with A&E Emergency Services owner and operator Ben Smith, who's also fire chief at the Franklin County's 4th District Volunteer Fire Department. And we'll have words with him in just a minute.
Hammers, your hometown department store. Unbeatable prices and new stock is always being added. They've got a great selection of fall and winter fashions for the cold months ahead, hunting gear for all the sportsmen, scrubs, work clothes, fabrics, tools, and even great gift ideas like toys and jewelry. Conveniently located on the boulevard in Winchester, Hammers has something for everyone. Come in today and enjoy service with a smile. John T's Barbecue, conveniently located on the square in Winchester, full-service dining with a relaxed hometown atmosphere. Try some delicious items at reasonable prices. Fresh smoked meats including pulled pork, chicken, beef brisket, baby back ribs, and bacon. Other specialties include grilled burgers, fried catfish, smoking nachos, and stuffed Tennessee taters. Open Thursdays and Fridays 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and 4 to 9 p.m. Saturdays 11 to 9 and Sundays 11 to 3. John T's, not your typical barbecue joint.
Welcome back everyone, and here's my guest this morning, Ben Smith. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Dick. How are you doing, sir?
I'm just doing great, and tell me something about A&E Emergency Services.
Well, we're a small, locally owned and operated family company. Started the business, officially opened September 2nd, 2013. We transported our first patient, and what we're trying to provide is pretty much the most aggressive, progressive service that is available out here. We try to get the greatest equipment we can. As new innovations and technologies come about, we try to reach out and to purchase these different items, whatever it takes to take care of our patients and the people we serve.
Okay, and you've been in existence, I think 2013 you said you started this business. Franklin County's had ambulance service for a lot of years, so what made you think that you could enter this field and compete in it?
Well, it wasn't without its own particular fears. I actually was thinking about this business back when I was even working for the other service at the time. I was going to paramedic school. I was kind of mulling it all into my head, and I thought, well, maybe I could do this. At the time, I was newlywed. My wife was a little more hesitant of the venture at the time, so we kind of put it on the back burner. But as we kind of went along, we started talking about it more and more, and I felt more and more confident that we can do something. I felt there was something we can do better in EMS, help revolutionize emergency services, and not just do necessarily the bare minimum or just the state recommended, but kind of go a step or two above that.
Okay, well, Franklin County has a rather complicated relationship with its ambulance service providers, or with emergency service providers, and I don't understand all of it, so why don't you tell us, please, if I call 911 and I get the dispatch center, what tells them who to call to come and take care of me?
Currently, right now, there's a resolution in place in Franklin County, and pretty much the resolution it's not a contract, but more a service agreement. And in it, they have it stating that for pretty much Franklin County in the Valley area, Belvedere, Winchester, Deckard, etc., they have rural metro ambulance service that covers the 911 down here. So if you call 911 and you're living somewhere down here in the Valley, you're going to get rural metro respond. If you live up on Swanee Mountain and into Sherwood, they have an agreement with Franklin Grundy, and so anything 911 up there, Franklin Grundy EMS will respond to all those calls. There's another private service here in Franklin County. It's Transmed. They have a station over in Estill Springs, and then there's us. So you got 4 ambulance services, serving around 50,000 citizens.
It is. I mean, that sounds like it's a positive statement. Gosh, we've got 4 ambulance services here. I should get really good care. But if they're only calling rural metro, and those ambulances are out, when do you get called in?
We've been doing a lot of backup 911 calls. If they get, if they're either understaffed or get overloaded with call volume, I said they'll call dispatch and ask for mutual aid. And if we have a truck available, we will be sure to send a crew. Is
there some systemic changes that we could make in Franklin County to where, is this a level playing field for you?
I guess it's a unique, field, so to speak.
You're being gentlemanly, aren't you?
Yes, I think it's good to be.
Yes, of course it is.
On that level here, I think what people need to be looked at is what is not so much better for each individual company or individuals, but what is overall better for the community as a whole. Are we providing the adequate coverage or the adequate care? With private services, we can't just, well, we can throw a million trucks out there to cover every ambulance and every square mile. I said, but since we're not receiving any county funding, and Rural Metro included, receive no county funding, it's all based on what they get off insurance for transports. So to be economical, we need to have so many trucks to meet the call volume. But my personal opinion is, if your call volume is increased, but you're decreasing your amount of trucks on the road, well, then there's a real problem.
We were at the Capitol Hill Fire Department meeting the Franklin County Buzz was in late November, and they brought up the issue that the waiting time in Capitol Hill area is substantial when they need ambulance services, and it takes a while for a vehicle from essentially Winchester to get out there. Is that an issue that you are bringing up with the people that you're negotiating with?
I brought it up several times at several different meetings, things that we've been to. People seem concerned, but at the same time, the actions aren't really speaking to reflect their concerns.
So, I mean, you're too much of a gentleman to say they're dragging their feet, but they're dragging their feet.
Well, shoe fits,
certainly
right?
won't say it. So the timing is important. You do make apparently emergency calls.
Yes.
So you talked about 911 responding to accidents and the like, and no county money in the deal at all. This is strictly a commercial operation.
Yeah, strictly based on commercial. We get paid based on people's insurances, and if they don't have insurance, private pay, and we allow people to make payments. Nature, and I would like to consider ourselves a very affordable service. I mean, we can pretty much set our own price, but what's the point of price gouging people when it comes to helping somebody?
Would you say, and I haven't done this research myself, and I believe that you'll prompt me to do it, are the prices between all the emergency services comparable?
I can't speak for the other services. I know I can speak for mine, that I'm much lower than the standard. There's a certain amount that we have to keep at. Medicare sets a rate, and you cannot charge or bill under that particular rate. It's a law. In other words, we consider it fraud. TennCare is the exception to that. Since it's government-run insurance, they can kind of pay whatever they want, and they do.
It's a big dog in town.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You can't fight that wheel.
Franklin County has a good number of retired people.
Yes.
Are your emergency calls mostly for elderly? Are they spread across the spectrum?
I think it's spread across the spectrum. You have everything from just your typical falls or nausea, vomiting, sick patients to potential overdoses or patients with strokes, heart attacks. So I think we've seen a nice little mix of everything.
Yeah. Is there a difference between an emergency ride to the hospital? I mean, you've got a person with a heart attack and it's life-threatening, and so that's one circumstance, but maybe I fell down and I broke my leg and we don't have to go there at 90 miles an hour. Is that a different kind of a call for you?
Yeah, so we try to base on pretty much what the patient needs at the time. If it's, for instance, a heart attack or a patient not breathing, we consider those a true emergency call. We try to go a little quicker than normal. For the typical, like you said, broke leg or fall down, we'll just go what we call non-emergency transport, nice, easy ride. Let's just get you there and get you there safe.
Okay. And let's talk about there's an emergency services committee that is supposed to meet quarterly, and frequently they don't meet because apparently there's not a lot on their table. It seems to me with 4 providers in the county now, all trying to be proactive business people as well as provide a service to the public. Are you getting the support from that committee you think that they should be giving?
I think they're looking the other way on a lot of the issues that are going on. But what I've come to realize, think that people don't really understand what ambulance services do, and they don't realize they need one until they have to call an ambulance.
That's not very far from this head frequently. I understand that a lot. So you go to these meetings. Have you? Obviously, you've been in conversation with your competitors, and. What is the feeling among the business people, the emergency services providers here, in terms of how the county is reacting to these issues?
I think between the providers alone, there's maybe a mutual respect for one another, but at the same time, maybe a little bit of animosity. Because you are 2 private companies, both trying to pay your own way, your own bills and stuff, so I guess maybe there's a little bit of a competitive nature to it. But I think we're all united in the same idea of trying to take care of patients and people.
rural metro has been here for quite a long time.
Yes.
It's kind of the grandfather of services here.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of been struggling with the question on this because they're an active business in the county. We need to support them. We should support all of our local businesses. But why are they the ones that, I don't get why they're the ones that get called and none of the other services are.
I guess it also has to do with that resolution, that agreement. They just have, nothing's been changed with that, so it's been the same agreement.
Who passed that resolution? The county commission?
County commission.
So has it ever been suggested to them that we revisit this issue and look at this resolution again?
The last time it was addressed was when, and I worked for the other service at the time, when we used to respond from the hospital in Winchester to calls in like Sherwood, and it would take anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes to get to those areas. That became a hotbed topic for people up there in Suwanee concerned about ambulances, so that's when Grundy Franklin kind of came in, and that's when they went and revisited the resolution to change that Grundy Franklin will cover the whole top of the mountain and the valley and Sherwood up there, and then rural metro just cover everything down here for the betterment of the citizens. And I couldn't tell you when that was done. I know it was early 2000 range, but it has not really been revisited since then.
So it's clear that that the county has to excuse me, has to come to terms with this issue fairly soon, I would think.
Yes, I would.
We keep talking about for the betterment of the people, and we're getting close to the end of our time here, but at least at this segment. And this is probably going to be tough for you to answer, and you might not be able to answer it. But tell me this: if there's not a rigorous plan to keep emergency services at the top of the county's list, are the people being served adequately? Have we lost people because of these bureaucratic snafus?
Can't say whether we've lost people as a result of it, but are people going to suffer as a result of it? Yes, they will. It would make sense. If you're talking about looking at 20, 30-minute response times to areas, I said it's going to only affect people. When you start talking about heart attacks and strokes, when everything's very time sensitive. So the longer you have to wait, better chances of a slow recovery you have. So,
especially, I gather, with the heart attacks and strokes.
Yes.
And those kinds of problems.
Yes.
Well, we're going. You've sent me off on a research binge. We need to find out. Excuse me. I've got a horse in my throat. I'm sorry, but anyhow, yes, we need to pay attention to this, and so we'll follow up with some meetings and contact some county commissioners, and wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you, sir.
And we're going to be back with Ben Smith in a few minutes and talk about his duties as a fire chief in Franklin County. We'll be right back.
Steel Salvage. Looking for ways to clean your garage out and pick up a few extra dollars? Got an old engine block in your yard? If it's metal or wire, it has value, and Steel's Scrapyard will pay you for it. Cash money. What scrap, you say? Iron, cast iron, tin, bundles of wires, all sorts. Precious metals like aluminum, copper, brass. Bring top dollar. Even though storm windows and doors can bring you money. Put it on the scale and hold out your hand. Money for scrap at Steel's. Located at 504 4th Avenue Southwest in Winchester, they buy and sell almost everything.
Welcome back, everyone, to the County Buzz. I'm Dick Wolff, your host today, and with me is Ben Smith. Ben is captain of the 4th District Volunteer Fire Department in Franklin County.
Well, Kyle Briggs is actually our training officer and captain. We have a interesting pair of leadership. I'm the fire chief. We have Jeremy Pickett as our assistant chief. And then we have Corey Bell as one of our captains over maintenance. But thanks for meeting with me.
So you have women firefighters?
We do. We do have several of them. We have several explorers or juniors. We have a couple women who are working their way up to firefighter status and are learning the ropes as we go.
And is this how, we talk about volunteer firefighters, that's always been difficult for me to wrap my head around, because I've spent part of my life in larger cities where we had paid fire departments.
Yeah.
We never thought about it, and we had low ISO ratings to go with that. But in a rural, how do you keep these volunteers coming if you offer them nothing? You work them night and day. You take all their free time that they have away from their job, and so how do you keep firefighters coming back to the hall?
Well, that's always been kind of a difficult thing with volunteers, trying to recruit and retention with them. We try to make it fun. We try to give them the training they need. We try to take as much expense off them as we can as far as providing the equipment and training things at our expense. But with limited funds, it makes it very difficult. So we rely on a lot of grants. And our department's been very fortunate. We have actually a fairly new fleet of fire trucks based on grants that were written. Several of those are done by the former fire chief, Tom Baskin, and then we have our assistant chief, Jeremy Pickett, does a lot of our grant writing, is actually very, very good at it and has been very successful at doing that.
Money is, and we followed this money quite carefully since we covered the first meeting last November, countywide fire department, and all kinds of issues just popped right up in that meeting, and there was clearly a lot of anger on the part of the volunteer firefighters in Franklin County. And money seemed to be the big issue. And in talking with Andrea Smith at the county finance office, each fire department gets 30 grand, and lately you've had an extra $3,000 or $4,000 in there. But generally, you're getting $30,000 a year to keep 15 to 20 people engaged in emergency firefighting.
Well, we have that. Half that money's gone already to insurance. You have to keep your liability insurance and all that other stuff on this. So all that money, half that money's gone. So it limits us what we can do with buying equipment and paying for training. So we're really operating off maybe a $15,000 budget to keep things moving and running.
And we noted at the Capitol Hill Fire Department, there's a lot of fundraising. I mean, you guys cook a lot of pancakes and sausage. And you're at it all the time. Tractor pulls with some of the departments.
Yeah.
In 2011, the Franklin County Commission approved an increase in the hotel motel tax that provided an extra, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year into the county-wide fire department funds. And plus, there's a few other small taxes that end up there. But that money, the increase was never passed on to the fire department, and that issue came up at the countywide fire meeting we went to. The next countywide fire meeting is January 28th. Have you detected a softening in some of the firefighter stances about this new countywide fire marshal proposal?
I think the initial issue that happened with that is everyone was thinking they're trying to take over all the fire departments. Years ago, they put together a countywide fire chief idea, and I think a lot of the fire chiefs kind of took offense to that, feeling like maybe they didn't think they were doing their job correctly, and so we're very offended by that. And I think that's what the original issue is. They're calling it countywide fire marshal, but everyone's saying this sounds like a countywide fire chief. So it immediately kind of ruffled feathers and got everyone up in arms. I believe the idea behind it was maybe a pure idea, but I think the deliverance, or how it was proposed to the fire chiefs and the fire departments, was really taken very, very wrong.
Have you detected a change in the sentiment since the November meeting?
Since the November meeting, I have not had a chance to speak with any other commissioners. Commissioner Van Buskirk did reach out to me to contact me to see if I'd be willing to talk to him. I said I would, but I think with holidays, it really kind of pushed everything back.
I think everyone got pushed around.
Well, it happens. It sounds like they've changed their tune about what they're going to do. From the last meeting that we had a fire chiefs meeting, and they talked about how they're thinking about not even having that position, that maybe they'll just give the extra money to the fire departments, which, well, obviously we're very okay with that idea. I guess there's a way of doing things in maybe more of a political setting. If they maybe came and talked to the fire chiefs, they might have and got their opinions or ideas of how this maybe could be more effective, they might have had less resistance to the idea. Yeah,
it seems odd to me because there's the countywide fire department, countywide committee met. Well, they only met 3 or 4 out of the 9 or 10 times they could have met. So they held back on holding their meetings. And the communications don't seem to be as smooth between the countywide fire departments and the county, even though both of the sides seem to be active trying to talk with each other. They're just not listening to each other, it seems.
I think both parties are feeling that neither of them are being heard appropriately.
Yeah.
Fire chiefs are wanting one thing said, the county's wanting another thing done, and I think it's kind of having a difficult time meeting in the middle and getting on the same page.
Yeah, and there seems to be some of that resentment seems to come from the fact that nothing happened from 2011 until this past November when
the cat kind of came out of the bag with that because none of us had any idea there was a bunch of money pretty much sitting somewhere, and that was I think that was an accidental slip up, and that when that popped up, and that immediately stirred up a little storm right
$240,000, and you guys are out cooking pancakes for $1 a plate essentially.
And then I guess money. In the last meeting when they said, well, that's supposed to be an incentive, and they said you have to prove the incentive, that really rubbed people wrong, saying what incentive do you want from people who are volunteering their time to come and help. So I think a lot of the fire departments feel that we've met that incentive.
Well, ever since the bombing in New York and at the World Trade Center, we've paid a lot of homage to firefighters and police people and all the emergency providers that stick their necks out every day. And in some of the posts that come across our Facebook page, we're watching firefighters say, well, look, I have a job, and I have a wife, and I have a family, and I'm a volunteer firefighter. So when I'm not with my job, I'm at work. And if I'm not working and responding to a call, I'm washing a truck. I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that these people are called to something. That it's a calling more than a job.
It's a desire to serve your community. I know that sounds kind of corny, but it really is. You either want to be a firefighter or you don't. There's those who are adrenaline junkies, so to speak, and those who want nothing to do with fire except to roast hot dogs, so to speak. There.
Adrenaline junkie. Okay.
There is a calling to it. And people are drawn to it, and it's kind of we call it like a fire bug. Once it bites you and it gets a hold of you, it's one of those things you just can't see yourself living without doing in your life.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, and all of the accolades that we give our emergency firefighters and men and women, it's well earned. Every time I hear a Christmas song this time of year, I think, well, we're going to start getting fire increases because it gets cold weather and people are going to set fire to their living room.
It's gotten better over the years. It used to be that way, where when it ever got cold, we started having chimney fires and space heater fires, and it's gone down. Not trying to jinx anything, but I think the overall education in schools and out there with the fire departments going out and talking to communities.
And that was going to be my next, I was going to go right there with education. So you talk about these incentive funds. You not only need to use those to bring in firefighters, but you're out in the community saying, don't put your Christmas wrapping, pile it up outside of your fireplace.
Yeah,
do something better with it.
Well, we have there's several programs out there. Our department is very involved with it. Actually, the assistant chief really took this on with the State Fire Marshal's office, where they gave us free smoke detectors, and we'll go around to the community and find out who needs smoke detectors. We'll install them. They're free. It doesn't cost anything. It's good PR, and I'll have to give a shout out to Assistant Chief Jeremy Pickett. He really kind of took the bull by the horns, and he really has done a majority of the work with that, and he has really enjoyed doing that. So we have quite a few fire and smoke detectors out there in our community to help protect them.
Well, you mentioned Jeremy Pickett, and I don't know if this is this isn't a disclaimer, but I've known Jeremy for years, since his high school years, and and I'm not at all surprised he was a fireman. I'm not at all surprised he got into that field, and he seems to be doing very well at it. It's his calling.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And now he's about to be married, I understand.
He is. He's,
congratulations, Jeremy. So, does that help a volunteer firefighter to have family?
Oh yeah, have that support. You have your family at home, then you get your family at the fire hall.
Yeah.
Everyone we pick on each other. We have our own little disagreements like families we typically do, but when it all comes back down to it, it's time to work. Anything we get together, we're a team, and we do the job. And this county is very blessed to have what we have here in the fire departments. We've had a lot of people come and go, I said, but this county does have some good core firefighters in all the different departments that provide the best coverage they can with the money they have and the funds they can receive to provide it.
Yeah. At another time we'll go into the ISO ratings, but right now I think you're at a 9?
We're at a 6.
We're at a 6.
We're at a 6.
Hey, way to go!
I know we're hoping to get it down to a 5. When ISO came this last time, it's been a few years. That was before we had our new tanker and our new engine, and so we're hoping that this next go around that we'll be able to drop that down into a 5. And
that's for a volunteer fire department. That's
very good.
That's credibility.
When you start seeing some of these volunteer departments like North Franklin County, where they have their numbers, that's very impressive for a very rural fire department with very limited fire hydrants.
All right.
So,
well, congratulations to you and all the firefighters. We do appreciate your work.
thank you, sir.
Thanks for being here with us today.
Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you all for watching. If you're seeing us on Channel 3, the Comcast channel, we get a new show up every Wednesday. If you're watching us on Facebook or any of our other social media, you can watch us anytime you want. We're there 24/7 for you. And if there's something you'd like to see on the County Buzz, you just post it at your favorite social media site, hashtag Franklin County Buzz. We'll find it and put it on the air for you. Thanks for watching.